friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley, and in a recent video I unboxed the brand new Wecreat Vista laser with you. And I've gotten a ton of questions about, is this laser better than the Xtool lasers? Now on the Wecreat website, Wecreat compares the brand new Vista with the original Xtool M1, and I can tell you right now that that is actually not a very good comparison. Now if you know nothing about me, just know that I've not only owned a Glowforge and an Epilogue laser, which is the creme de la creme of all lasers, but I've also owned every single one of Xtool's lasers. So with that being said, I feel like I actually know a lot about lasers. And I would not compare the brand new Wecreat Vista laser with the original M1. What I would compare the brand new Vista with is the Xtool S1. And since I have both of them in my craft room, we're gonna go and compare these two right here. And I'm gonna tell you which one I think you should buy if you're in the market of buying a laser, and I think I am going to shock you with my response. Now, before I tell you what my opinion is, we're gonna go through the comparisons between the two machines because I wanna make sure that you have every single detail that you need in order to make the best judgment for you on where you should be spending your money. The one thing I take very seriously here in the Craft Castle is that we all work really hard for our money. And the last thing I want you to do is spend your money on something you don't need or is possibly garbage. That's why I like to do comparison videos, because I love to give you all the details about every single machine so you know exactly what you're getting. All right, let's get into it. The very first thing, let's talk about price, because that is a key factor for a lot of people. Now, when it comes to both companies, I would like to note here that I am going to be talking about the sale price, not the full price. The reason why I put full price in like these air quotations is both companies run on the same type of model where everything is always on sale. I'm pretty sure that that's called fictitious selling, but whatever the case may be, every single time I go to either one of these websites, I never see anything being sold at full price. So with that being said, as I stand here today, the pricing of either of these machines is the Vista naked with no other additional upgrades or accessories is going to be about $700 versus the Xtool S1, again, naked, no additional accessories, is $720. So you're looking at $20 more for the Xtool S1. But here's the deal, for $20 more, you're gonna actually get a larger laser with the Xtool S1. The Xtool S1, the work bed size is actually around 24 inches by 15 inches. Whereas the Vista is around 16 inches by 11 inches. So you're definitely getting a larger machine for a little bit more money. And that is naked. And I like to say the naked because if you are gonna be buying a laser, what I strongly suggest is not buy the naked laser. The reason for that is that is just gonna give you the basics. It's just gonna give you the laser. And I can tell you right now that when you get your laser, you're gonna go, I really wish I would have gotten this accessory or this accessory or this accessory. What ends up happening at that point is that you are going to start buying these accessories separately, and it's going to end up costing you more money in the end. So what I strongly suggest anyone doing, if you are going to be a laser owner, is just to get the best bundle that you can possibly get, because I can tell you right now, you're never not going to want the accessory for your machine. I've always used every single one of my accessories. However, there is one that is a definite optional. We'll get into that here in a second. Now, before we get into the accessories, what I want to do is backtrack a little bit because we're going to talk about laser capabilities. Now, if you know nothing about lasers, nothing at all, take this one very important little note, and it does not matter if you buy the Wecreat, the Xtool, or any other laser out there. Epilogue, Omtech, Thunder, does not matter. Wattage is important. Keep this little nugget of information in the back of your brain. The more wattage will equal a faster running laser, but that can also do more things. Now, when it comes to the Wecreat Vista, you're only going to be able to purchase a 10-watt laser. They don't sell additional wattages for the Vista. We'll talk about this additional accessory here in a second. But when it comes to the Xtool S1, you can buy a 10-watt, a 20-watt, or even a 40-watt laser for the Xtool S1. So if you were looking to get a faster laser, obviously what we've just learned is is you would want more wattage. Now, I will tell you that both machines, the Xtool S1 and the Wecreat Vista, you can get an additional infrared laser. Both these infrared lasers are all going to be the same wattage. They're both 2-watt infrared lasers. Now, I did tell you that the more wattage, the better, but what I can tell you is when it comes to the infrared lasers, 2-watt just equals really fast. The benefits of getting an infrared laser is that you're going to be able to do all types of engravings on metal. So take my necklace. This right here is actually white gold. I was able to engrave on these pennants. They were initially blank when I received them, and I was able to use my infrared laser to engrave some special mementos of my family on my necklaces. So without having the infrared laser for either of them, you would not be able to engrave something like this on gold jewelry. Now, do you technically need the infrared laser? Absolutely not. If you're not someone that plans on engraving on all types of metals, I would just skip on the infrared laser upgrade. All right, now let's talk about the additional accessories to both of these machines. And I can tell you right now that they're actually pretty similar in the accessories that you can buy. First and foremost, I know I'm gonna get asked this, is can you do tumblers in either of these machines? You absolutely can, because you can get the rotary attachment tool. It is a tool that you need in order to do the rotary feature, but it is possible with either of these machines. But here's the deal. When it comes to the Vista laser, the Wecreat Vista that's over here, you don't technically need their rising stilts. They would like to call them a rising base, but there ain't no base about it. It's just these little metal stilts that are right here. Technically, you don't need that because the Vista has this really cool feature where your laser head is upright and then you can just knock it down to the side, allowing you to do 40-ounce tumblers without ever needing a riser base. Now, if you wanted to do tumblers in the S1, you will need a rising base for this. This base is actually really nice and fully enclosed. And since we are on the subject of rising bases, I can tell you right now with the Wecreat Vista laser, this is not a rising base by any means. It is just metal stilts. This is all that it is. This right here just screws in to the underneath portion of your laser, and this is what the rising base is. Now, the difference between the stilts with the Wecreat laser versus the Xtool S1 is that this actual rising base is fully enclosed front and back. Now, the reason why this is so important in my opinion is let's say you're engraving something that's really thick, like a really thick cutting board, for example. You're obviously going to need to take the base out of both of these machines, but what happens is you're going to stick your cutting board in your laser, and when you start engraving on it, because this is all open air down here, what's going to end up happening is your craft area is going to start filling up with the smoke and the fumes and the smell. I can tell you right now, it is not cute and does not smell good. Versus having a base like this where it's fully enclosed, you're going to contain all of that smoke in your machine, and your air purifier or your air filter is going to be able to suck all of those fumes out and take it out of your window or purify into your air filter. So it's definitely nice to have a fully enclosed base versus something that is just going to be an open air type situation. Now, the main difference between the two when it comes to accessories is the conveyor feeder. What the conveyor feeder does is something like this. This right here, it was too long to cut out on my Xtool S1. So what I did was I hooked up my conveyor feeder, and it's just this fancy term where you're going to be able to put a really long piece of wood through your machine and it is going to cut out perfectly, and that's what it did. This thing right here is about like 24 inches long. It was really easy to set up and I didn't have any issues. Now, I can tell you as I stand here today, the Wecreat Vista on their website, they actually say that you can do a feeder just like that. However, they don't sell an accessory, so I'm not even entirely sure how that would be possible if they don't have like a conveyor feeder accessory. So while the website says that they do, I'm kind of confused on whether it actually can. Another accessory that you can get with the Xtool S1 is going to be this honeycomb tray. This is actually helpful for if you're cutting out really small material because they have really small little openings and your material just sits on there and nothing like falls through on the tray. Now the Wecreat Vista does not sell a honeycomb tray, but your machine does come with something like this and honestly looks like a grill or maybe like I'm in jail. But they have wider spaces in between, so your smaller pieces could fall through the cracks, obviously, because they're pretty wide. I can fit my finger through it. But is it hard to get your smaller materials because your bed is so shallow? It's not, to be honest with you. Do I personally love using my honeycomb tray? Absolutely. The Xtool S1 does not come with anything like that, whereas the Wecreat Vista does. So that's actually really nice that they give you those grill grates. Now, the last and final accessory that you can get with either of these machines is going to be the optional one. Not everyone is going to need this. And frankly, I don't actually use my air purifier. The reason for that is because I have windows. You see those windows right there? So with any single laser, does not matter which brand of laser or model you buy, if you're going to be using your laser, what you need to do is vent it out of a window or some type of air purifying source. So if you don't have a window to vent out of, then you would need the air purifier. Please note that when you do the air purifier situation, what you're going to have is additional costs. Those air purifiers fill up eventually, and you're going to have to continue to buy the filters, which is why I don't use them, because I have a window to vent out of, so I don't need to use my air purifier, so then I don't have to continuously spend money on an air filter. But if you do not have a window available to use your laser, you have to get the air purifier. That would not be an optional. But if you do have a window, just stick that hose out the window and keep on crafting. Now, the next key difference between the two is that the Wecreat Vista has a camera in their machine. And to be honest with you, I have used a lot of laser machines that have had cameras, and the Wecreat Vista has one of the best cameras I have ever seen. They have strategically placed where their camera is up here in the lid. So when you have it open, it is taking a direct picture of your bed. Most lasers have a camera and it is a fishbowl lens, and it ends up warping and distorting your image. The reason why a camera is so important is that you're going to be able to align things 100% correctly. So let's say you were taking a jewelry blank and you want to make sure that a name is completely centered on your jewelry blank. Because the camera isn't a fishbowl lens and is straight down, you're going to be able to engrave on center onto your blank without any issues. Now, the Xtool S1 does not come with a camera. However, they do have this really nifty app that you can use, and all you do is take your phone, just your phone, download the app, and you're going to be able to use the camera on your phone as your camera for your machine. It's really cool. I have videos on it because I think that feature is a really cool feature. Now, I've already talked about the flip laser that is in the Wecreat Vista, but I did want to note, because I'm pretty sure I did not say this, you can do the flip laser with the Wecreat Vista, but you can't with the Xtool S1, which is why you would need the added riser base in order to do larger materials and even tumblers. Now, the next feature is not really a feature, but I want to touch base on it just because I don't want you to be left with any other questions, is how in the world do you change out your laser heads if you got the infrared? So this right here is the Wecreat Vista laser head, the infrared laser head. You're going to see that there are like a total of 6 little holes right here. And also, when you have your original diode laser head in your machine, there's also going to be a total of 6 holes. What you need to do is take out the screws of this machine, of this head. Make sure your machine is off when you do it. Take this off and re-screw this back in. 6 screws isn't a whole lot, but it is kind of time consuming. When it comes to the Xtool S1, you're gonna have a total of 2. 1, 2. So all you do with the Xtool S1 is the same thing that you would do with their Vista. Make sure your machine is off. You would take the 2 screws out of this head out, then you would replace it with this one, screw it back in, turn your machine on, and then you're ready to go. 2 screws is definitely a lot quicker than 6 screws. I can tell you right now that if you've never used a laser, that you probably aren't going to be switching your heads as frequent as what you think you're going to. So while this one does have 6 screws and it does take a little bit more time than 2, I think that you're going to be fine if you did choose to go this route. The last and final difference between the two, and it's not even about the machines, it's more about the software. Let me take you over to either of these softwares so I can show you the differences between the two. So let's start over in the Xtool creative space. So this is Xtool's program, and it definitely does look really basic, but I can promise you that it's not. So over here at the left-hand side is going to be all your toolboxes. You can insert your own SVG file. There's a text box that you can do your own text. You can also do lines and shapes. You can draw your own shape if you wanted to, just by clicking and drawing and making your own shape. You can also come down here to more shapes, and what you're going to get is a bunch of their already programmed patterns, parts, and other different things. I don't generally use this section. Then they have this cool feature called AI. I don't know about you, but I don't use AI very much, but if you know how to use AI, they definitely have an AI feature, which is really cool. And then they have this right here, which has your grid array, circular array, material testing. You can make your own QR codes, and then a batch fill. Now what batch fill is let's say you wanted to engrave like 50 keychains on your Xtool S1. You threw the 50 keychains down and you wanted to only engrave hello onto it. So when you put one hello, you would just press this button and it would automatically put 50 hellos on your keychains, making it pretty automatic. Now, the one thing I do want to show you is if you were to insert your text box, you do have the ability to change your text, and then you're also able to outline your text, which essentially just means to offset or make like a thicker text. You can also do this with a shape that you wanted to. You can do an outline with that. Now, over in the Wecreat software, we're going to click over here. It is going to look kind of similar, but a little different. So here, these lines, rectangle, and circle, remember we already had that over here in the Xtool creative space. When you come over here, you have line, rectangle, and circle. So while this one looks like it's a little bit fuller, I can tell you right now that it's pretty much exactly the same. It just looks a little different. So you can insert your own SVG file. You can put in your own text. They also have a really cool AI feature if you know how to use it. They also have a pen feature, just like what you have in the Xtool program. This one right here is a jigsaw puzzle. So you wanted to create your own jigsaw puzzle, you totally can. I don't believe this is available in the Xtool program. Now you can import your own images, or they have their own images that you can choose from as well. So it's very similar to the Xtool program. Now, for whatever reason, this button right here is grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out, but it is. So what this button means is extracting your own SVG file. Now, if making and selling your own SVG files or using it in other programs is important to you, I can't seem to find a way to extract my SVG files here in the Wecreat program. However, over in the Xtool program, if I wanted to, I can extract my own SVG files, going to this little X, going to File, and then Export as SVG, and I would be able to export and save my own SVG files. Now, over here in the Wecreat program, they also have the offset feature or the outline feature that was over in the Xtool program. And remember that Smart Fill, they have the same thing over here. Now, when it comes to your text, the one feature that the Wecreat program has that the Xtool doesn't is not only are we able to change our text just like over in the Xtool program, but I can also curve my text. This we don't have over in the Xtool program. Now, everything else is going to be essentially the same. You're going to be able to choose your materials and switch over your settings, just like over here in Xtool. It's going to be over here. You can choose your own settings and be able to choose your material up here. Now, that was clearly a basic run through with both machine softwares, but I just wanted to give you a little insight of what each machine software looks like. I would like to note that both of these machines, if you are curious about purchasing one brand versus the other, you can download their software and play around with their software before ever purchasing their machines, which I think is great. So if you're worried about learning a whole new software, having the ability to download the software before you ever commit to a machine is wonderful, and I love it. And also on that note, when it comes to the Xtool program, if you wanted to create your own SVG files to sell, you could download the Xtool program and just make your SVG files and export them, and then you'd be able to sell them. I do love that feature. So you actually never have to purchase the machine in order to make your own laser SVG files. All right, the comparisons are done, and I did promise you that I was going to tell you which machine I would suggest for you to buy. Now, before I tell you, what machine do you think I am going to suggest to you? Do you have an idea? I think I'm really going to shock you with this one. You know what's wild is I actually wouldn't even suggest either of the machines that we've been talking about this entire video. What machine I would suggest for any brand new laser owner to purchase is the M1 Ultra by Xtool. Did I just break your neck and give you a whiplash? So the reason why I would suggest this machine over any other machine that I have in my craft room to beginner users is because this right here is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, brand new laser out there. And I honestly am just so miffed about how amazing this is. Now, let me just summarize the reason why I freaking love this machine. First and foremost, this right here can be upgraded to a 20-watt laser, which is amazing. Remember, we did talk about wattage earlier. Secondly, you can get the riser base, and what the riser base does is allows you to do round objects, just like the other two machines. Although this machine does not have a camera like the Xtool S1. Remember, I did talk about that app. The app is phenomenal, and using your camera on your phone is just as good as the Wecreat Vista's camera that's on their machine. You can get a honeycomb tray for your M1 Ultra, but now here is the absolute coolest feature about this machine is the fact that it's 4 things in one. So this is not only a laser that can cut and engrave a ton of materials, but it's also a Cricut. By simply changing out your head, you are now able to do anything a Cricut can do. So you see all these machines right here? All of these machines now equal to this one little machine. So not only do you get a laser that you're able to laser engrave on a bunch of different items, but you also got the capabilities of a Cricut. And frankly, the coolest feature of this machine is the fact that it is not only a laser and a Cricut, but it's also an inkjet printer. So you are going to replace 3 machines with one by just simply switching out the ink head module. Why this is so cool is that no other machine that I have in my craft room can do things like this. This is a wood coaster that I printed my daughter's graduation photo on using this machine. I would not be able to do that with any other machine. This right here is so cool. You can print stickers if you wanted to using that inkjet head, but this right here is absolutely the most amazing thing I think I've ever made, ever. Now, remember when I was talking about switching out the laser heads, and the Wecreat Vista has 6 screws, whereas the Xtool S1 has 2. With the M1 Ultra, this is how easy it is. There's this little switch right here. We're just gonna open it up, pull that out, push this in, flip the switch, and that's it. You just switched out in seconds. Also, remember when I told you that with either of the other machines, you're gonna have to turn your machine off in order to switch? You do not have to do that with this machine. So, within 3 seconds, I switched out my laser heads, and I'm still being able to keep on crafting. Ooh, I forgot to mention, over here on the left-hand side, you also can put a bunch of different pens in here to use their writing feature. And if you use the writing feature for the Cricut often, you're going to absolutely love the Xtool M1 Ultra's writing feature because they automatically fill all of their letters. Now I have to ask you, did I just throw you for a loop? Did you see that one coming? Did you think that I was gonna throw you a whole 3rd machine? I bet I probably did, and gave you a whole lot of whiplash and a lot of things to think about. Now friends, if you have any questions about any of the machines that I've talked about or another machine, please leave them in the comments of this video because I wanna help you better spend your money so you're not left with a machine you definitely wish you wouldn't have spent money on. I hope I inspired you to create, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.